All right, we'll just wait for everyone else. How's everyone? Nice and warm in here. I saw some of you had coffees. I'm a bit jealous about that. Yeah, hopefully we'll get one too. Okay, well, good morning everyone, and today I'm very pleased to be here with the Treasurer and Minister for Education as we officially open the Brisbane South State Secondary College. Now this is very exciting because this is the second vertical state secondary school to be open in Queensland. You can remember the first one was at Fortitude Valley and this is the second one. And to see the classrooms, the innovation, but what's really special about this school too is its links with the University of Queensland. And hopefully we'll see a lot of the students here going on to study at the university, especially with a focus on STEM and biomedical. So a very exciting day. It's wonderful to see the students, the teachers, and of course the opportunities where really the world is their oyster. So very exciting too to talk to them about the Olympics, and who knows, someone here might eventually end up being a future Olympian as well. So it's a $153 million investment. At the moment there's about 460 students here, and as the Executive Foundation Principal said too, there's the capacity to take on an extra 250 each year as they grow the school. So it's the same sort of process that we put in place at Fortitude Valley, but of course our commitment is to building more schools, more investment, and of course you'll see more announcements in the lead up to our budget when it comes to our investment in education. So I'll let the Minister say a few words, and then we're happy to take some questions about any other topics.
Okay. Thank you, Premier. Thank you. And it is an absolute delight to be here at Brisbane South State Secondary College with the Premier and the Treasurer on this $153 million investment, the first investment of its kind in 60 years in the inner city. Already this school is getting accolades and awards for its state-of-the-art technology use in schools, for its curriculum development, working in partnership with the University of Queensland, and for the world-class design that this school has produced. We've seen students collaborating, challenging ideas and thinking globally in this wonderful new facility that we've been able to have ready for students and for teachers and Executive Principal, Foundation Principal Kirsten Ferdinands to enrich the minds and provide a world-class education. Some of the best educators in the world will provide this world-class education to the school students that are enjoying this. It's a growing school. We've got for 250 places a year, about 500 to 600 applications are coming in. There is growth in this area, so it will meet the growth that we are seeing with new developments that are occurring on this side of the river in Brisbane, and it's a state-of-the-art, world-class facility. Congratulations to Executive Principal Kirsten Ferdinands, to her team, to the staff and to the students who were with us today for the opening, and they did a fantastic job. It's very proud to be here this morning and to be here with the Premier and the Treasurer to open the new Brisbane South State Secondary College.
Any questions on the secondary college? No? Other matters?
Premier, on the lab inquiry that you announced yesterday, with the threshold being removed, you'd expect the lab to be getting an influx, I guess, in demand. Will there be extra resources going into the lab to cope with that extra demand?
Of course we'll be looking at all of those issues, but our priority is to get the terms of reference finalised. So, I mean, my department's waiting to hear from Walter Sofronov, and then we'll be able to release them publicly. I think that's critical.
You addressed this a bit yesterday, but the opposition said you could have called for this inquiry months ago. Do you accept that?
I think I say to the opposition is that what we are hearing now is that these issues go back almost over a decade. So I think let's get the inquiry, let's not be presumptuous, let Walter Sofronov do the job. It'll be a thorough job, and of course, you know, we will welcome all of those findings. So let's let him start the job first.
Many lawyers are saying that it will potentially open up the floodgates when it comes to litigation if some cases were jeopardised. Has the government factored that?
Well, he'll be able to work through those issues. As you realise, he was the President of the Court of Appeal, so he understands all of those issues. But look, I really don't want to comment any further because we need to get the inquiry up and going, get the terms of reference set, and then we'll wait for the outcomes of that.
Do you hope to have those terms of reference released by Friday?
Yes, definitely by this week.
Is there going to be extra funding for mental health in the upcoming state budget?
Yeah, let me say a few things. So yesterday the report came down, and what it shows very clearly, and there's a number of recommendations from Memory Over 50, look, mental health is a very big issue. It is a serious issue. It affects so many Queenslanders, and I honestly believe over the last 2 years it's having an even bigger impact, even on people who may not have had any experience of it before. Why do I say that? Because COVID brought about so much change. We had businesses unsure of what was going to happen. We had families, who weren't able to go about doing their normal lives. And also, too, we recognise that, in some southern states, too, where they had longer lockdowns, there would have been more impacts as well. So,
how do you pay for that, Premier? There's been talk of some sort of levy on payroll tax, as they've done in Victoria.
Well, the government now has to consider that report. I might get the Treasurer to make a few comments as well. But what we need to do very clearly is this is a big report. This committee travelled extensively, and I thought, we all heard recently in the Parliament what Mel talked about as well. So, look, these are very complex issues. Our government has been working progressively to increase the funding to mental health, and I know that the report touches on alcohol and drugs as well. I was absolutely delighted to go to Rockhampton recently, and that actually came out of the community. So I think the community really needs to also be part of the solutions. So the community said there was a desire in Rockhampton to have this facility. We put in, from memory, it was over $16 million. From memory, there was around 40 beds that are operating there, and half those beds were being utilised. And that was the first of its kind in Queensland, if not Australia. So, communities need to be consulted as well. This committee report is very much welcome. It's very comprehensive. We'll be working through all of those issues. But I just want to say to people out there, we are taking this very seriously. I know that it's not only adults, it's young people that are affected by mental health, it's the elderly. Social isolation brings on a whole range of complex issues. Then, of course, there's the issues of staff. Nearly every industry, we are hearing reports about the need for more staff as well. So whether it's in the construction industry, whether it's dealing with people that have complex mental health needs, we will have to give serious consideration to growing that skilled resource as well, encouraging more placements for people. But once again, incredibly complex, a really, really big issue, and one that I know that the Treasurer also shares my concerns about how serious this issue is. So
on a similar
Yeah.
theme, in terms of financial stress, are you concerned about interest rate increases today impacting on housing affordability for people in Queensland, given the state has been defying the national trend in terms of real estate demand? It's actually gone up 2%, according to the latest figures.
Well,
is that a concern?
Well, I'll let the Treasurer make some comments on that as well. But we've had the largest investment in housing in our budget from last year. But there is real stress out there. There is the rental market. It's incredibly difficult for people to get into that market. And what we are seeing, and I heard this the other day from a young couple, is that they actually had to go and quickly find alternative accommodation because the owner of their property was moving in. So you've got a whole range of circumstances, but these financial pressures are being felt across the country. So I might just let the Treasurer say a few words if I can. Thanks.
Thanks, Premier. The Premier's right. This is a very serious report into mental health in Queensland. I want to thank the Parliamentary Committee for its work, but the seriousness of this report requires a serious consideration by the government. Clearly, one of the recommendations is how we increase funding to mental health, so the government will make appropriate decisions around this report and our response to it at an appropriate time. But I think Queenslanders can be confident, as I reported in the mid-year budget review in December last year. State revenue is returning after a difficult time. So our revenue lines are coming back, whether it be royalties, taxation, stamp duty. And so how we allocate that revenue, we'll make that decision in the budget in 2 weeks' time. But then as our revenue returns in forward financial years, we'll make additional investments as well.
You had the power bill rebate announced recently, but will there be any more cost of living relief measures?
Well, the most significant cost of living announcement for the government is the $385 million we've allocated to electricity rebates. That's the most significant announcement. And of course, we'll be making announcements about our concession regime in the budget as well. Many billions of dollars we spend each year supporting Queenslanders doing it tough through our concession program across a whole range of areas.
So
During the
Queenslanders
federal
struggling
election
with mental
campaign,
health?
you were a ferocious critic of the former Prime Minister in terms of Canberra's commitment to Queensland in health and flood mitigation. Just on those two areas alone, what sort of assurances has the new Albanese government been able to give you in terms of Queensland's needs?
Well, to be fair, I don't think I was the only person critical of the last government. We saw that when they lost about 20 seats in the House of Representatives. Look, we're working very closely with the Albanese government. We know we'll always get a good hearing from a federal Labor government. We've got a very strong relationship with the team. We've got very lucky to have a federal treasurer based in Queensland. So that means on things like housing, on things like disaster mitigation and response, we will work very closely and get good outcomes from them. And the initiatives they announced in the election.
Good for the stressed health system, do you think?
Oh, well, the Premier has led from the front there. She's put the funding of health, not just in Queensland, but across the country, on the agenda for the National Cabinet meeting. The previous Prime Minister wouldn't allow it to be listed even for discussion. So that's the start. The start is to talk with a national government who wants to work with Queensland, and we'll see what we can deliver for our people when those conversations and those agreements are delivered in the future.
Sorry to clarify, so can Queenslanders who are currently struggling with mental health issues, can they expect to see additional funding for mental health at the upcoming state budget?
Well, as I've said, we got the report yesterday. It's a serious report that requires serious consideration by the government. So in 2 weeks' time, I'll release the budget, and we'll make announcements about our health system when I release the budget in 2 weeks' time.
Mental health interviews,
Yes,
were you already
Rachel.
planning to increase funding to mental health services?
Well, as the Premier said previously, and as I've said, we're going to have a record health budget in 2 weeks' time. It's going to be a significant investment in health, but the budget will focus on good services and better services for Queenslanders, on creating jobs. We are the jobs-generating powerhouse of the country, and supporting Queensland's amazing livestock. So they're going to be the focuses of the focus areas of the budget, and you'll hear more about that in 2 weeks' time.
Can I ask you a couple of questions?
Yep,
Sorry. A while ago you said the lines around
Yep.
lobbyists were blurred.
Yep.
Now, what are we going to do about that to clarify them and rein in some of the activities of lobbyists?
Yeah, so I've made some public comments on that, but we're still waiting on Peter Coldrake's report. I want to see if he makes any comments about that first, and that report is due, I think from memory, at the end of this month.
But you accept something has to be done.
I think there is a blurring of some of those roles, and it's something that my department's giving some consideration to as well. And anything that we can do to strengthen the reporting arrangements. So we're looking at what's happening in other states as well.
Origin tomorrow, have you made a bet with Dominic?
Well, some good news there. I have contacted the New South Wales Premier, and we are finalising a bet at the moment. So watch this space, and we'll have more to say tomorrow. But yes, in the spirit of beating the Blues, yes, we will be having a bet.
Premier, there's a lot of chat nationally about
Yes.
gas prices.
Yes.
Is the state government doing anything to shore up domestic gas supply?
As you saw over recent years, we actually released a domestic reserve for big industry, and I understand there may be another meeting this week of all of the state energy ministers. Of course, we acknowledge it's a big issue, and of course we'll be speaking with the federal government.
Premier, on hospital funding,
Yes.
we heard the Treasurer refer to that record spending that's coming. Why
Yes.
should Queenslanders have to wait for the budget to see how much more money is poured into health?
Because-
Given all the issues we've seen with
Because
Brexit?
that's what the budget does. The budget is our document where it's in black and white to tell Queenslanders how the money is being spent. And let me tell you this about health. It is going to be a record health budget.
To fund additional mental health funding, if there is some, could that be funded through a payroll tax levy like in Victoria? Where will that money
We've
come
only
from?
just got the report. We'll be having some discussions about that this week and next week. So we will present our response, but we only just received the report yesterday.
New South Wales yesterday announced $3,000 bonus or a reward, if you like, to frontline health workers for COVID. Are you considering something similar here?
Not at this stage.
Question for the education.
Yep.
Yeah, you've got to do that. Share the thing here.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yep. So I should say that this is a very, very big issue and has been very well received. And today I'm pleased to announce that we've got $13.3 million in the upcoming budget to offer free sanitary products at every Queensland state school. This is fantastic. Also, too, with cost of living pressures, I believe that this is a great measure, especially for our girls and young women out there across our secondary schools. And I think I'll ask the Education Minister just to say a few more words, and then Michelle.
Yeah. It's great to have Rochelle Courtney with me here from Share the Dignity, and I was in Mackay recently where I saw the vending machine installed, and it is fantastic, and it is so well equipped, and the school will provide the products. The students were very proud to have it in their school, and we are now going to roll this out to all schools who want to have one of these machines in their school. And can I thank the Treasurer and the Premier for the $13.3 million investment to roll this out, and can I also commit that the schools will continue to stock these vending machines, and they are truly state-of-the-art. Thank you, Rochelle, for being here today.
Thank you.
And she has some products to show as well, and the students that I spoke to were very welcoming of the vending machines. Thank you, Rochelle.
Thank you. Imagine a day where girls are not missing out on an education because they don't have access to sanitary items. And as you've already discussed today, the price of housing and electricity and food is increasing, and for many girls and for many women, access to sanitary items is the last thing on their list, and using socks and newspaper and wadded toilet paper is a real thing here in Australia. So this is a woohoo moment. This is amazing to be able to give them access to sanitary items, but also to be able to provide education to boys and girls and to remove that shame and stigma that's been surrounded around menstruation for so many years. It's really exciting to be part of this in Queensland. So this is a big wahoo for Queensland today and a big wahoo tomorrow night for Queensland, yeah?
Yes. And these are the products
These
they
are
get.
the period packs that are in the vending machine. So the vending machines dispense a free period pack that has 6 pads and 2 tampons in it. Sorry, other way around, 2 pads and 6 tampons. And then there is a timing mechanism on each of those machines to make sure that they are not wasted and on the floor.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, especially around this time of the year, the spirit of Queensland seems to be synonymous with...
Sorry, any questions on this first?
Yes.
Adam?
Sorry.
Yeah,
Can I
and
ask
I have a
education?
question.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank
Thank you, Rochelle.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Has any or will any action be taken against Jeff Hunt? Where's that up to?
Oh, look, we just had a Queensland Industrial Relations Commission decision come down in May. My understanding is they're working through that comprehensive, it's about a 50-page decision that came from the appeal, and there are datelines there. These are obviously done independently, and I hope to hear soon.
Is there a timeline on when you've been given any sort of time frame?
It's done independently. I'm pretty sure that there are timelines now that that decision is down, and I'll let those independent processes take their course.
All right.
Sorry.
Last question, yep.
Just around this time, of course, the spirit of Queensland synonymous with Origin, but as that family, Murugapan family, prepares to leave Perth for Billawheeler on Friday, what does the spirit of that town say to you about the about Queenslanders and their compassion and hospitality in the case of this family?
I think Billa Wheeler is looking forward to welcoming the family back to their community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.